Hello everybody, welcome back. It's Belinda here from Visualized NZ. And we're in January, although you may be seeing this in February. I'm not sure when this video is going to show yet. But I didn't realize I hadn't done a flip through of my November journal. So that's a wee while ago now, and as I go through this and give you a wee tour of my month of November, I'm going to have to read a little bit to remind myself of what went on, because I honestly have no idea. And it's, like I said, it's a few months ago now, and a lot's happened since. So anyway, this is my November journal. I did a collage of pieces of book page, and then an image from an art catalogue that I had, and just a wee label there for the month. And it's covered in packing tape, so there's all sorts of wrinkles and things going on, which is fine because it's my journal. Okay, it's all random pages. I went with a lot of coloured paper for this, just plain like copy paper but coloured. And then there's a few of my digitals in here, like this page is one of my digitals, and then some of my digital art that I've been doing, part of the series that is available on Patreon. And then just life's happenings for the month. So the first page is just like a bit where I stick random things or do something, goals for the month or something. So this month I just put a random little meme that I liked from Facebook and one of my printables, and so that's it. Very, very plain really, but I do like my digital paper, so I kind of wanted to see that. It's made from one of my jelly prints. So day one, November, I did some filming for YouTube. Nothing startling about that because I do that a lot. My pot plant that I was given back in March is doing really well, and I'm really bad with pot plants. I kill them super easily, so I'm very, very impressed that this pot plant, even as of today, is still alive, still flowering. I haven't killed it yet, so go me. One of my designs that I did for Patreon, and we had some venison for tea. We were given this huge big 1.6 kilo piece of venison, and I defrosted it, sliced it up into steaks, and oh my gosh, it was so yummy, so tender. I do think it's a little bit funny that I put a picture of a cute deer there. It's like cute deer and we ate venison. It's kind of a bit weird in my head, but anyway, that's just to signify that we had venison for tea. And we had venison all that week because it was such a huge bit that it did us, quite a number of nights. So 2nd of November was the day that I launched my Patreon. That was a day where I was just super excited, was really over the moon about it. I'd put a lot of work into getting it ready to do, and this was the day it went live. I got 4 patrons signing up very quickly, which just thrilled my heart, just amazing. So I wrote all about that, about the launch, about some of the technical issues that I had on that first day. I was actually out this day. I had an eye screening appointment, so I've found this little picture of eyes on the internet and put that in there. And then once we got home after dinner, we had a little ice cream sundae just to celebrate the launch of Patreon. So that was, that's right. That was also the day while we were at the hospital for the eye screening appointment, the fire alarm went off. And I was actually in my appointment. We'd only been in there like a couple of minutes into my appointment, and we all had to evacuate. So I had to go down the stairs because you can't use the lifts during an alarm. So I had to go down the stairs on my crutches and out into the car park where it was super hot. Like, it was stinking hot that day. We found a little bit of shade to sort of hide in. And then 10 minutes later, we were allowed back in. Like, there were no fire engines. There was nothing. I don't know what it was about, but it was a little bit of drama for the day. So all in all, that was like a very memorable day. Day 3, I was at home and I took myself for a wee drive. I just wanted to get out and about, and enjoy. So I went down a road that I've been down many times, but this time I went off a little side road over a wee bridge and found just this beautiful little creek and sheep and bees and all sorts of things. So I took lots of photos, and so I've put some in there, some in the pocket. And I made this little game piece from a Wonderful video. I'm not sure if that's a public one or a Patreon one. Cannot remember. I think it's public. Not sure. Wrote about what I had for lunch, and that's really it. The 4th of November was my mum's birthday. I didn't get to see her, but I rang her. I was out again at my husband's work. I went shopping for a swimsuit. Couldn't find anything, so I ended up ordering one online. It was Gumboot Friday here in New Zealand, and Gumboot Friday is a fundraiser for mental health. And the idea is that you wear gumboots to work, whatever work you do, you wear gumboots. So hubby's work, some of the staff who did wear gumboots all had a photo taken for social media for the company. So I grabbed a copy of that, and I took one from behind them when they were having the photo taken. And there was some leftover cookies from a Halloween party that one of the staff members had, and this was the last one left. It was a skeleton with a broken arm, and I asked the person who'd brought it in, which is this lovely lady here, and says, look, nobody's touched it all week, do you mind if I have it? So she said, go for it. So I brought it home and ate it over several days. Just a gingerbread man skeleton. Very, very black colouring that just stains your mouth. So I was happy to eat it at home where nobody would know. Nobody could see my black mouth. I actually gained another patron this day, but unfortunately they joined up, took what they could, and then cancelled it. So that's just something that can happen on Patreon. The 5th, I made some pies with leftover venison in my mini pie maker. This must have been a Saturday. I worked on mail for my mail tier on Patreon. The washing machine played up and wouldn't go properly, and so that gave my husband a bit of stress, but he got it sorted eventually. And I taught my husband how to use Artflow. So Artflow is a digital drawing app that I use on my tablet, or actually on my husband's tablet. And so I made this design with it, just a very basic sort of book design. And he wanted to learn how to do it, and so that was the day that I taught him how to do it. And he's been doing art on Artflow every day since. So I'm really, really pleased, because he's creative but usually doesn't have the time or just feels too tired. But digitally, he's really finding it very doable for him. So that was cool. So the next day, church, I just noted that I can now cross my legs comfortably, which I haven't been able to do for years. This was a day when our, second to youngest cat had a field day catching things. So she caught this bird. It's a little starling. So that was the first thing she caught. And then later on in the day, she caught this little tree frog, and that's on my husband's hand. Like, it's literally this big wee frog. So the bird, unfortunately, we tried to save it, but we didn't know where its nest was, and it needed to go back to a nest. It wasn't old enough to not have, not be looked after. So the bird didn't make it, but the frog was released, and as far as we know, it's still thriving. The tree frog's been living on our property now for probably 5 years, and we have heard it since, so we assume it's the same frog. yeah, so that's super cool. So this was beginning of prompt week for November, which is run by Lydia over at February and June on Instagram. She runs a prompt week 5 days of usually the first week of the month, sometimes the second week, just depending on how the days fall. So this was day 1 of November's prompt week, and the prompt was taste what was for afternoon tea. So I made this Twixie slice, which is a really yummy sort of biscuit base caramel layer with chocolate top, completely sugar-free and grain-free. So that's what I wanted, and that's what I made. But I didn't start soon enough in the day, and because there's 3 processes to it, and some needs cooking and some needs chilling, and it wasn't ready for afternoon tea, so I had this little packet, little 2 biscuits out of a packet instead. But at least I knew I had this to look forward to. This was when I also came up with the idea for my Deal It Up, or not came up with the idea, but my first Deal It Up challenge video was this day. If you haven't seen that, Deal It Up challenge is I have 3 decks of cards. I pull one from each, well, not deck, but 3 suits of cards, and I pull 1 card from each, and there's a prompt on the back of it, and those 3 things determine what the challenge is. So it's like a supply, a style, and a type of thing. That's general terms, that's what the challenge is, and it's every Monday. So if you're in the States, then you would see it on your Sunday. So that was my first one of that on that day. There's cat stickers. Oh, yes, that's right. That's because Georgie got really freaked out that morning. My husband played some cat sounds of a video or a reel he was watching on Instagram of a kitten, and Georgie just completely freaked out. He was so scared and nervous and anxious, and he just peed a little bit on the carpet, which we forgive him for because it was just a little stress accident. He was just completely freaked out by it. So that's why I've got a couple of cat stickers there. This day was about the weather, and I put Blah to Butte because it started off really grey and cold and came out beautiful. So that's what the weather was. I did a couple of videos, had a real big headache, so didn't achieve all that much that day, and my hubby came home from work and cooked dinner because I was not feeling so great. But that's okay. I did some art in my art journal, which is nice and relaxing. Oh yes, the day started, day 9, started with another cat incident, and I've got this photo here with a towel on the floor beside the bed, and Snuggles, the same one who was catching the animals over here, jumped up on my bedside cupboard while I was still in bed and knocked over my cup of coffee, which I'd only drunk like a quarter of, all over the floor, over the power board, up the curtain, in my shoes. Like, it just went everywhere. And she freaked herself out, but she wasn't hurt, fortunately, but made this big mess, so we had to clean that up first thing in the morning. The prompt for this day was about hear what was the weirdest thing you heard today. I had no idea what I was going to write about, and it ended up we had a fly stuck in our toaster, and I was sitting at my desk hearing this buzzing, distant metallic buzzing. It took me ages to work it out, and there was a fly, not where I could get it out, like it had gone in between the wall of the toaster, the 2 walls, and then the element, and it was in between the 2 walls, and I don't know whether it got out eventually or whether it's dead there, but you can't actually access that part of the toaster. So this weird sound, yeah, it just took me ages. So I ended up with the perfect thing to write about because that was weird. Sat outside, read my book, had a drink. Snuggles kept me company. This is the offender of the spill and the animals that were caught. This is her. Did some work on Etsy, and I got some Happy Mail with some rub-ons from America, which was really sweet. Okay, I was out this day, 10th of November. There's a factory shop of a meat producer that's about half an hour away-ish from where I live, and I've always wanted to go there. And I was never quite sure where it was, how to get in, because it's a factory, and then they've got this wee outlet shop on one end. And yeah, so I finally was able to find where it was and finally able to go. So I went to this wee shop here and bought a few bits and pieces, nice and cheap. But on the way, I passed this beautiful peony bush. It was just glowing. It was so pretty. So on the way back from the shop, I stopped, did a U-turn, and took some photos of this bush. So glad I did, because the next week or the week after, when I went past again, it was completely, they'd all been cut off. There was no flowers at all, no buds, nothing. So happy I got the photographic memories. I obviously had a little Mars bar treat from somewhere. I think that was probably from hubby's work. Did some more digital art and made up this journaling mentor little graphic as a surprise for Lydia at February and June, because she's the one that I've been learning a lot about journaling and how to do it, and she's so encouraging. Love you to bits, Lydia. So I made this as a surprise, and so I put a little copy of it in my journal, and I emailed that to her, because the prompt was, what can you do to make someone else feel good? Random act of kindness day. So that was my very small gesture, but from my heart. So that was Thursday. So the next day must be Friday, and this was a holiday. So hubby was home. We just had a relaxed day. I played in my art journal. I have a feeling that my mum came to visit, but I don't see it written here anywhere. Yeah, not sure. Georgie, our youngest, had a lot of cuddles. Yeah, not too much really on that day. It was just a relaxing day. This lolly wrapper here, Minties, these are very famous old-fashioned lollies here in New Zealand, and this one came from hubby's work, so I put the wrapper in there because I haven't had a minty lolly for years and years and years, like possibly 15 or so years. So it was a really yummy treat and very chewy. They're very good at pulling fillings out and things like that. So this was Saturday, so we had quite a relaxed day again. Both of us did more art on digital art. I read quite a bit of my book, did some digital work, did a bit of research, made a cheesecake for dinner, for dessert after dinner. And then I did this art journaling piece that I really love, and I want to try this on a canvas. I haven't yet. And then hubby cooked dinner. Oh, and we watched this really, really weird film. Like, really weird. It's called Everything, Everywhere, and All at Once. I can't even remember what it's about, really, but it was just weird. You know, filled in some time. Sunday was church. Kelly came home for breakfast, which is lovely. She doesn't often do that, although she did actually this morning as well. Got some really nice messages through on Facebook because I changed my profile photo, and my husband's brother sent me a message that and called me sis, as in sister, and he's never been that familiar with me before, so like I documented that because that like completely took me by surprise. Yeah, just completely out of the blue and unexpected, so that definitely had to go into my journal. Did a lot of work on my digital kit this day. bit of paper, and this bit of paper is from the kit I'm working on. It came to a halt not too long after this, and I haven't touched it for ages. Need to get back into that. And I just wrote about how my dresses are, a lot of them are too big, and I need to get some more dresses. And that's pretty sad because I haven't had a lot of wear out of them. They were given to me and now I've shrunk out of them. And that's so sad. Okay, so day 14, the 14th, I did this little envelope as part of the Deal It Up challenge for this week, was to do with envelopes. So I made this wee envelope, put it in my journal, and there's a little tags tucked in behind here. And that's from my togs that I ordered online, arrived this day. And I wrote about them in this little card here about the togs that I'd received. And there's a photo of them there and a photo of what I had for lunch. So this is my new togs, which are super pretty and just a perfect fit, which I was thrilled with, absolutely thrilled. And I also had this happy mail of these distress inks from my beautiful friend Lydia. I did this wee gesture of the Journaling Mentor star, which I sent to her, this wee one. And she, unbeknown to me, had purchased and had sent to me these set of 5 inks. Like, just so generous. And I feel almost bad that all I did was this poxy little drawing for her. But I know that's not how you think, Lydia. I know, that's just me. It's like, you know, you've been so kind and generous. So just gorgeous colours that she chose out for me. And I know she put a lot of thought into it because I can tell. So yeah, that was really special. So I just swatched them out there. 15th, actually November, we're in November, aren't we? Yep, sorry. Lost my train of thought there for a second. So beautiful, beautiful day on the 15th. Got some washing done. Snuggles likes to ride in the washing basket. So there's a photo of her in the washing basket. She likes to be carried in it. Put down my lunch, what I put on my plate and what I ended up leaving because I couldn't eat it all. My husband and I started doing an art hour this day, setting aside an hour a night. Well, actually, we started the night before, so this was our second day of doing it. An hour a night, no TV, nothing, just both of us working on doing some art. Unfortunately, that's kind of fallen over since I don't know, might have even been December when it fell over. But, you know, we tried and we both enjoyed it. I did journaling, actually. I caught up in my journal for the day and he would do digital art. I also had a really bad earache, so I just tipped in this diagram of an eardrum from some sort of book that I had. Thought, where else am I going to use it? And then wrote about the art hour on the back of that. So this day I took myself for another little drive. I posted the mail for Patreon for the mail, Patreon mail tier. Posted that out. I bought myself a mint ice cream, mint trumpet, and had it down at the local domain under the trees, which was really nice. And it was really super hot, and I went and parked under the trees, and in the space of however long it took to eat the ice cream, so not that long, it'd come over all foggy and cold and gross. So that was that. This is part of a wonderful episode that I did over on Patreon. So I added that in there and just wrote about what we had for dinner, art hour. Yeah, that's pretty much that day. And I think I got a video done as well. Well, that's not unusual because I do videos every weekday. So Monday to Friday I do videos, and sometimes I might do one on the weekend. So this day, 17th, a lot of writing. I was out again. I was at hubby's work. I've got this little wildlife spotter where on the drive to and from work I write down interesting wildlife that I see or things that are unusual. So I see a lot more than what I write down, but I just try and pick out the things that I don't normally see or that are special in some way. Like see a lot of ducks, but this particular day I saw a duck standing on a trough. So I wrote that down, and I saw ducklings. And I saw ducks under the big irrigation sprinklers, which I don't normally see. So, and I saw a newborn, like brand new, still with some of the afterbirth on, calf. And I've never seen that before. So that was cool. So I have these little wildlife spotters that on occasion, if I see, some fun things, I'll pop one in my journal. And it started raining that evening. And that's about it. We had salmon dip on muffin splits for dinner, which was really yummy. Oh, it was so yummy. So I was out again this day at Shane's work, hubby's work, and I went for my first swim in my new togs. So I took photos in the changing room in my new togs. We had salmon dip on muffin splits again for tea that day. Oh, and this was a boss's shout at my husband's work, so it was a Friday, obviously. And I say obviously because I know the shouts are on a Friday. And it was Indian, so there's a couple of photos there of the Indian food that we had. And I had this, I don't know if you can see, that little amount on my plate. So just a little bit of curry, a little samosa, which I've nibbled the top of, and I'm not sure what that is, onion bhaji maybe, a tiny little bit of naan bread and a poppadom, and I ate half of that and the rest I brought home in a container. So the next day was a Saturday. I forgot to turn off my supplement alarm, so I woke up to the alarm, which wasn't such fun. Also had a headache. And that's okay, a bit of Panadol took care of that. I did a bit of tidying on my art desk here. Spent a lot of time preparing a surprise for a friend. What else did I do? I cut up a book, and some of these stars are out of the book that I cut up. And that was pretty dull day, really. Yeah. Had a phone call from my mother-in-law, and yeah, that's as exciting as the day got. So the Sunday, the 20th, a friend was back from her, I think she was 4 or 5 weeks away in England, and she arrived home, so it was nice to see her again after her holiday with her family. She went to see her family in England. My husband brought the message at church that day. Kelly came home for breakfast again. I washed my hair. Like, stunning day, isn't it? I washed my hair. Like, oh, that's so newsworthy. Not. It rained in the morning and rained in the evening, but in the afternoon it was actually quite sunny. It wasn't too cold. I hand cut a stencil. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Not too much going on, and there's been quite a lot of days like that recently where there's just nothing much going on. But my journal, I'm still glad to have my journal and to write about those nothing much going on days, because that's when you pick at the smaller things and you take note of the smaller details, and they're important too. So Kelly was home again this morning, and she's photos of her sitting on my art desk and having cuddles. I recorded 2 videos and had my leftover Indian food from the Friday before. Did a bit more work on the digital kit that I still need to finish. And I got some more happy mail from a lady that I bought some things from on Trade Me, which is a New Zealand auction site. And I bought the original lot, and since then she sent me 3 further lots at no cost to me of ones that she found after the fact. And so she just sends me like a full-on envelope or courier package of more of what I originally purchased, all for free. Super amazing. So this day another package arrived from her. This day Kelly again in my arms. So nice to have her coming back home again. I was out this day, so this must have been in the evening once we were home. Couple of little handwritten notes that I found that my husband had written years ago, and I was in my cleaning up, I found them, so I cut a couple of bits out that I like. Asked him if he wanted them, he didn't, and so stuck them in my journal because I quite liked them. Wrote about our meals, of course. I went for a swim again this day, and I saw more wildlife this day. So I saw pigeons, a rabbit, some turkeys. We don't often see turkeys here in New Zealand. They're not around a lot. I saw 3 foals, a duck standing on a post, and a whole line of ducks lined up under a hedge, which was really, really weird. Haven't seen it again since. So that's my little wildlife spotter. Art hour again. I'm just bemoaning the fact that I'm not getting much time during that art hour to actually do digital art because I'm busy working my journal, which I love, but it's like I seem to run out of time, all, you know. This is a promotion that's been run by the supermarket. It's finished now. It finished the week of Christmas or the week after Christmas, somewhere around there. And I was collecting up the bits as we could, because you get 1 packet of something for every $30 you spend. So we don't end up with a lot of them. We never end up with a full set, but hubby was collecting whatever he could. And this day I ended up with a Border Collie, and they're like Lego, but they're not Lego. Border Collie, a couple of calves, and broccoli. So I was having fun with the cows eating the broccoli and the dog just watching them. I was having a little play with them. So I documented that. This day I also had horrible eyes. My eyes were awful. Do you ever get that where you wake up and they just feel like they're full of sand and they're sore and you feel like you can barely open your eyes because it hurts, but you do, and then you feel like you can't close them because that hurts, and they're just horrible. And I get that every now and then, and I had that this day and I hate it. But I shouldn't have, because my eyes were so gross, but I did spend quite a bit of time on the computer that day despite that, because I just wanted to get stuff done. So I did. And I also, my husband picked up an order that I'd made from a local business. He picked that up, and they have these cool stickers on their bags, and the paper bags are this beautiful lime green. So I put bits of that and the sticker in here. This was another wonderful video where I talked about worries, childhood worries. So I documented all about that here. This little cloth tag here is off a t-shirt, and I just really liked it because it says wash this when dirty. That tickles my fancy. That just makes me giggle. So I popped that in there. On the back it's just got the brand and sizing and all that, and the Puma, because it's a Puma brand. But it's this bit that I really love. Wash this when dirty. Okay, get that, wash when dirty. Good to know. Did a Patreon video. Yeah, just wrote about how I felt really, really busy at this time, you know, coming up to Christmas, and just feeling the pressure of wanting to achieve what I wanted to achieve, and also get presents sorted, and the busy social calendar that comes with the December, really. So this day I can see was out, because I've got another wildlife spotter here. So I saw a hawk landing with its catch. A couple of ducks crossed the road in front of us when we were driving down the road. One of them was actually collected by the van behind us, unfortunately. The second one did make it, but it's like, what was it with ducks that day playing Russian roulette, basically. It's like, am I going to get across the road? Well, one of them didn't, but it wasn't us. So I'm pleased it wasn't us. But there's nothing you could do. They just fly out all of a sudden, and yeah, not much you can do. This is a little Trishcraft Tuesday piece that I made out of a box. So I took all the exterior off, all the pattern of what the product was, and then used it as a little sort of flippy thing. Wrote about bits and pieces that happened during the day. The weather was really weird. Where my husband works, it was all beautiful blue sky, really warm and gorgeous. And this day I went over to that little factory shop, the meat factory shop, and it was pouring down with rain and cold and weird. Like, and the two places, it's only a 5-minute drive. So I stopped and took a photo. And I'd been swimming as well, so I took a photo of how my hair goes when it's wet. It goes all sort of ringlety. Yeah, so that was that day. This is Saturday, and we went out with a busload of my in-laws' church. So my mother-in-law and all her church, they had a bus, so they stopped and picked us up at the end of our street, and we went out for a meal at the Garden Hotel and Restaurant. So I put the serviette, I brought the serviette home and put that down on that page and wrote on top. We don't buy lotto tickets, but my husband decided he would because there was a huge carryover prize, and I just obviously didn't win anything, so I put that in there because that's a pricey bit of paper, like, you know, so at least I can put it in there and it's got some function rather than going in the rubbish. Took some photos of the bus trip to the restaurant, and our neighbours are actually sitting behind us because they go to mother-in-law's church. And then there was this little boy, I don't know, about a year old, maybe 6 to 18 months old, and he was playing with my husband's fingers. Super cute. We don't know the boy, don't know his father, but he was really cute, red-headed wee boy. So this is the meal I had at the restaurant, and I bought like 2/3 of that home. I took my own container and filled what I didn't eat. And then after the meal, the bus took us out to New Brighton Beach, and it was super cold. It was freezing wind, but we went out to the walk just before the beach and had a photo with my husband, myself, and my mother-in-law. My father-in-law wasn't well enough to come, so he wasn't there. And then there's Kelly sleeping between my legs on the bed. So this was hubby's attempt for the big prize. Well, it carried over again, so he bought another one. And so I've put expensive pieces of paper because this cost even more for this lot, and nothing, not a single prize out of it. And we just don't do lotto. It's a fool's game. He just thought he may as well and see what happens, and I knew what would happen. Absolutely nothing. So anyway, that's that. It was a super cold day this day, and in the afternoon, my friend, the one who'd been to England, turned up with a couple of boxes of firewood for us, which was just amazing, super kind, because we were burning just the scrapings from the bottom of the shed, like the wood dust essentially. And she turned up with 2 boxes of wood, which was so kind. And I just wrote about the church message there as well. And then back at a Monday, so I was out this day, which is unusual because I'm not usually out on a Monday. So my day begins, I've started the entry with, so begins a week of being out every single day. Okay, so that's this week. This is a week where I was out every day. I know, why was I out this day? I went for a swim, I did a bit of shopping. I watched them put up the big tree outside the council office. It's because I needed to go shopping. I had a few things to get and I couldn't leave it till the next day. Yeah, so that was a day out. I watched some YouTube while I was at hubby's work. Caught up in my 5-year a day journal. 1 line a day, 5-year journal is what I meant to say. Hope you understood that. Yeah, that was that day. This day was the best day ever. It was so much fun, so many memories. So not a lot written here, as you can see. I've got this chopstick packet here. Oh happy day is written on it, and that's from lunch. Got a few receipts tucked up in here. This was, what was that from? That was from something I did on video. I can't remember what, but in here is documented my whole day and my beautiful friend Lydia from February and June. We spent the whole day together, and so I took photos of us sort of at most places that we went. I missed 1 or 2 I think, but I tried to get photos of us. When we went out for lunch, I took photos of lunch as well, and we just had the best time. I hope you had the best time, Lydia. I certainly did. It was just so special. We had so much fun. We went shopping, we bought stuff. Actually, we both bought washi tape, and this is a swatching of the washi tapes. There's one missing from this. Actually, see more than one missing. Oh, that's another bit of it there. There were 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's a bit under here, 9. And then the 10th one I actually gave to my mother, so I didn't have a sample of that in there. And this night we stayed at my mum's. So after this, my husband and I were staying at my mum's because hubby had a course in the city. And rather than travelling in and out from the city to home for the 2 days, we decided we'd stay at mum's. So had this amazing day out with Lydia. Super, super fun. Really, really special day. And then we stayed at my mother's. And then this is the last day of November. So hubby went to the course. I dropped him off there. And then I drove back to my mum's and hung out there for a bit. Then I went shopping at my favourite shop, Creative Junk. Filled up a bag with bits and pieces. So you take it like a shopping bag and fill it up for $10. Take whatever you like and fill it up. It's just so much fun for junk journalists. It's, oh my gosh, it's so much fun. So I wrote about that. And these Lego type things that I was getting, Mum had given me some packets that she had. So I put those in there, the little pieces of paper that come in them. She gave me a top, which I tried on and took a photo of, and it fits beautifully. And then I had lunch with Mum, came back from shopping, had lunch with Mum, and then in the afternoon I went and picked hubby up from his course, and we came home and we had some ice cream that night. Orange choc chip. Well, actually, no, it wasn't. It was orange chocolate. There were no chocolate chips in it. It just had like a chocolate swirl. Wasn't my favourite, but it was yum. You know, it was still yummy. It was sweet. It was cold. It was creamy. Yeah. And that was it. So I continued over the page a little bit because I had quite a bit. And then I had another lolly from Shane's work, which I ate while I was waiting for my husband's course to finish. And that is the month of November. So, I mean, there's days where nothing much happened, but that's okay. I still wrote about them. I still found things to document, and that's the challenge. It's the fun of it. So I hope you really enjoyed this peek into my life for November. It feels such a long time ago now, and I've still got December journal to show you. And that's for another video. Thanks so much for joining me today, everybody, and I will catch you again soon. Okay, bye.